Okay, today we are playing a game on Oasis. The average SR of this game was 2,430, and we will be playing Junkrat the entire way through. And our current team composition is D.Va, Roadhog, Junkrat, Genji, Moira, and Mercy. So, if they have a Pharah, we'll be a little bit upset about that one. However, I would actually hope between Moira, D.Va, and Roadhog, it wouldn't be too much of an issue. However, it could still end up being an issue. Other than that, there's not really very much to say about it. So let's start the game. So we're on Garden to start with. And the recurring theme of today's game, not to spoil the surprise too early, is going to be use cooldowns more, use ult more. Because what's Junkrat's thing? Junkrat's thing is that he does a lot of damage. And his ultimate also charges really fucking quickly as a consequence of him doing a lot of damage. So you kind of just want to use him as much as possible. Right now, we don't have a trap down, despite being in a pretty good place to throw a trap. It's one of those things where it's better to have it out than to have it not out. We chuck it out eventually, but by the time we chuck it out, Roadhog's already trying to kill us. And then we also commit the error of walking into the Roadhog, which is very much where Roadhog would like us to walk, because he has a relatively close-range weapon. Granted, Junkrat also does, because for some reason he doesn't take damage from his own explosions, even though he has nothing to protect him except a pair of shorts. Yet Pharah, who has futuristic battle armor with jetpacks on it, can indeed kill herself with her own rockets. Junkrat, though, dude, fucking Australians have got thick-ass skin. Doesn't matter. Doesn't feel it. So anyway. So the other thing is that the concussion mine, seeing as you can have two charges of it, kind of want to just chuck mines out there pretty frequently, because you want to have the cooldown ticking, because if you're sitting on the cooldown for a really extended period of time, you could have just done something with that cooldown in that period of time. You can chuck it out there and just do over 100 damage to somebody really quickly. And as long as you've still got one charge, you're always safe. You can always either use it to run away, or you can use it to finish off someone if you really need to. If you're at 2, you should be looking for a reason to use the concussion mine as soon as possible so that you can have the cooldown going again, because you're just going to do more damage as a result of that, and as a result you will be more efficient, and as a result you will be able to use your ultimate more, and you will generally have a good time. So the thing with Junkrat's ultimate is that here we're at really low HP, so we should be backing out to actually heal up, because we're walking around 110 HP walking into the enemy team. So we should be going to find a health kit or going to get healed up, because when you got 100 HP, it's really easy to suddenly die and not have much recourse. So the thing with Junkrat's tire is that it's really hard to kill it, because it goes really fast, and as long as you send it through a not super obvious path, like as long as you don't roll it directly at them, it'll probably make it up to them. The thing is with Junkrat's tire is that because he does a lot of damage, builds it up really quickly. And because it is really hard to kill, it is just free kills for using Junkrat's tire. Even if a fight isn't actually happening, because we all have big dreams, of course, of getting the 4-man play of the game tire kill, but you don't even need to use it for that. As soon as you have it, you should be looking to use it as quickly as possible, because it charges really quickly. Not to sound like a broken record or anything, you know, but I have said fundamentally the same thing about 3 times now. But you don't need to use it during a team fight, because think about what's happening right now. Enemy team is trying to recollect over there right now. They've only got 1 fight left, because we're at 85%. So we can actually just send the tire over there right now, almost certainly kill 1 or 2 people, if not, unlucky, but we can send it through, like, a non-obvious path, like around the backside or something, and probably kill at least someone. And then that person is staggered, and then they have to come into this final fight missing probably 1 or 2 people. Unless they kill the tire, in which case, obviously, we're sad. Junkrat's tire is more often than not just a free stagger on somebody. Now, we can say with hindsight that this ends up happening, but We could also argue, maybe this fight doesn't even happen at all, because we stagger someone. Junkrat's Tire is basically just a free stagger on the enemy team, and staggering people is really strong because it just ends up wasting them a bunch of time. And depending on how willing the enemy team is to cooperate, if you stagger one person, that might have a cascading effect, where it staggers multiple people, because then the rest of the people don't want to wait for that person to get back, or people, depending on how well the tire went. And then it just is cyclical, you know, a vicious cycle. One's staggered, so the rest keep staggering themselves because they don't want to wait, because I gotta get out there and make the big plays right now. And that's the overarching theme of this game. Use cooldowns when you got them, and use your ultimate when you got it, because it charges really fast and it's actually really strong, just to stagger the enemy team. So here we see Winston. We are playing Junkrat, so we can just walk up to him in his bubble, and he'll be like, oh fuck, Jesus Christ, this Junkrat's crazy, man, and run away. We've managed to pick off their Mercy, which is great. Diva's now getting killed. We've got the tire. We use it a bit early. Because Moira is here, tethered to the Diva, we should let her do a little bit more damage so that we can try and execute the Diva with the concussion mine, because the thing is with the concussion mine is that it is a very big knockback, so if you use it at an inconvenient time, you can end up saving the person's life instead, because imagine Diva's team is on the other side of that wall where we bump her to and she gets healed as she arrives, and then maybe another tank comes out in front of her, and we don't actually kill the Diva as a result of using it a little bit too early. Concussion mine, there have been quite a few times I've been upset that the Junkrat on my team has used his concussion mine too early, and in fact saved the person rather than killing them. So right now we're still going into them while we're low HP. Junkrat is in many ways a melee assassin, frankly, because of the way his explosions work, which defies all logic, but however, we have 62 hit points right now, and we're still walking into the middle of the enemy team, while we've almost got our tire up as well, so we should be backing up to heal. We were, in fact, in a pretty good angle to just back out over, if I can get the tool up, we can back out over that way and get the large health kit over by the road, and then probably use our tire by that point, and then send it over here and kill people during this team fight. Instead, we walk in too early, get killed, Mercy reses us, Mercy's dead, now we're in no position to use the tire because we're losing a bunch of momentum, blah 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 blah. If you're low HP, you want to be backing out to get HP, because otherwise you die, usually, because, well, you know, walking around at like 100 HP or less is really easy to die. Even 150 or less is easy to die, because at that point you're a Tracer without Tracer's mobility, so we've seen two examples of that now, because there was the first round as well where Diva jumped on us and killed us while we were low HP. Can sort of break that around the wall. Honestly, not really worth it, because Winston's bubble doesn't even last that long anyway, but whatever. So, have to come over this way because the self-destruct is exploding over there, which forces us into a position where we're basically gonna die and there's not much we can do about it. Then we get rezzed, however, just in time to see both of our supports and Roadhog die, so that means we've still lost this fight anyway, and we just get to die a second time in all likelihood. However, we actually managed to slip away. Winston could have killed us, but he's a bitch, so he didn't kill us. Because he could have totally jumped over here and killed us while we were alone and then jumped back, and he would have been totally fine. But he's a big weenie. So we have the tire. We should be looking to use the tire, of course. We've been on this tire for a little while now, and we should be looking to use it as soon as possible. This is true of all ultimates, really, where you want to use them as soon as possible, because then you can start working on your next ultimate. But Junkrat's in particular is one of the fastest charging ones. It's not that unusual to be 30 seconds into a game and then here, get ready for a shock, you know. Oh yeah, he's got his ultimate, who would have guessed? How shocking. So we should be using it as soon as possible, because it charges so quickly. But all ultimates are like that, fundamentally, where you want to use them as quickly as possible so you can start working on the next one. But, like, Coalescence, Nano Boost, and the Tire all charge insanely quickly, so you really want to start using them as quickly as possible. This is like, every hero has something about them that's unfair, which is the thing that you're trying to leverage as much as possible. Mercy, it's Rez and Valkyrie, to no one's great surprise. Soldier, it's the fact he has an extremely accurate weapon with an extremely long range on it, so he can just sit really far back, self-sustain, do damage, and then Tac Visor is, like, guaranteed kills, usually. The thing that's unfair about Genji is that he has one of the best ultimates in the entire game, because it's pretty easy to consistently kill several people. And the thing about Junkrat that's overpowered is he does a lot of damage. Not necessarily the greatest actual killing power, counterintuitively, but he does a lot of damage, and his ultimate charges really quickly. And his ultimate is really good after they buffed its move speed, because it's just easy kills. So he's also really good at zone denial, obviously, because he is a defense hero. That is what all defense heroes are good at, because you can spam into an area and just choke people out. However, on a King of the Hill map, this is less of a thing, because there are less choke points and defensive areas to actually hold around. So during this team fight, we've largely been playing Junkrat, where we've actually just been spamming into the focal area of the team. However, the team has not been dying, and our team has been dying. So that's obviously not great. Having Genji is actually a pretty good DPS to have with Junkrat, because the issue Junkrat has is that he isn't necessarily the best at actually securing a kill. We lose this round, to no one's great surprise. He's not the greatest at actually finishing a kill. So if you have a DPS with you that is good at finishing a kill, like Genji, because Genji's kind of a dirty scavenging vulture in a lot of ways, really works pretty well with Junkrat. So, things are actually going pretty well. We managed to jump in, kill Mercy, kill Soldier. Oh no, they have Coalescence and Death Blossom. Our Mercy died, and now we're just basically fucked. It is rather difficult for Junkrat to deal with Reaper, because Reaper is a little bit hardy for Junkrat, because he's got 250 HP, he's got lifesteal, he also wants to be point blank, so Junkrat being point blank. Reaper can kill Junkrat before Junkrat can kill Reaper in a lot of circumstances, and it's also kinda easy for Junkrat to kill his whole team if Reaper starts spinning, and then Junkrat goes, shit, I don't like that. Oh fuck, I bounced him into my entire team. God, shit. Fuck, shouldn't have done that. Pharah, similarly enough, but Pharah can actually kill Reaper, because there's nothing Reaper can do to Pharah. So here we go to University. University is probably the best map on this, the best, sub-map on this map for Junkrat, because it's a pretty confined location, and this is one of the King of the Hill maps that has, like, the most choke-pointy areas on it. We now have a Soldier who is a little bit less good at securing kills than Genji is. Oh, we actually still have Genji as well. Never mind. So we're coming in on this Mercy. The Mercy should have died for that one, but we didn't. We did get her in the end, but we didn't hit her with one of the grenades, so it didn't actually end up being as clean as possible. And now we end up not having a mine, which means we end up taking a lot more damage from the D.Va, and oh no, then we get caught on the wall. If we kill the Mercy a little bit faster... Basically, if we don't have to use both of our mines to kill the Mercy, we probably end up getting away with that, because instead of using the second one to kill Mercy, we could have used the second one to save ourselves. So, aim better, you know. Junkrat's one of those heroes that is relatively light on the mechanics side. It tends to be more about overall efficiency and decision-making, right? This here is actually a pretty good example of efficiency and decision-making, because we see Baby D.Va and we decide we can do better than Baby D.Va. Baby D.Va herself is very unlikely to kill the tire, especially since she's probably scared, because the tire is right next to her. Instead, we come over here and we get McCree, who is a better person to kill than Baby D.Va, because Baby D.Va is not actually difficult to kill for most heroes. McCree, however, quite threatening, can be harder to kill than Baby D.Va. We then come up and save our Mercy's life, because we see her getting bullied by Winston, just no fear, walk right up to the Winston and end up finishing him off, and now we can come over here to try and finish off the Baby D.Va. Right there, we actually have the opportunity to kill her, because D.Va, we start getting damage boosted by Mercy, and our mine is up, so throwing the mine at her would almost certainly kill her. If not, we can just walk up and punch her, and that would kill her, and then she would not get back into her mech. That was actually pretty good, though, because we showed great patience with the tire, and then we walked up and saved the Mercy, which is also obviously good, because we don't want our Mercy to die. We are standing closer than we need to right now, because we don't need to be standing on the point, because our Diva is on the point, so we don't need to be standing on the point. And going closer to the enemy Diva and the enemy's Winston isn't necessarily the most helpful thing in the world, because they're pretty easy to hit. If you got a tank on the point, you don't really need to come and stand on the point. So now we've managed to come up on the side of Moira and kill her in the middle of Coalescence, so she's sad about that. Oh no, Diva's fucking that one up real bad, and we get to finish her off. And it's been pretty down and dirty, but we've gotten there in the end. Oh no. Primal Rage Winston steps on trap, which is the actual saddest thing in the entire game. You just see the Primal Rage Winston there swinging, and then the Junkrat and the, like, soldier are just, like, drilling into him for, like, 7 days, and it's just like, oh god, someone put this poor creature out of its misery. So we've got the tire. We should be looking to use the tire as soon as possible, because it's just a free stagger. We're going to use it right now. A little bit of a harder map to use it on, because there are less good angles to sneak around, but we end up managing to snake it round the back, and we kill Hanzo, also damage Orisa. And Diva's coming in way ahead of her team, so she ends up just dying for free. Their Mercy's now dead. Now they are, in fact, quite staggered, and they're still coming in despite being staggered, so this is how the stacking effect ends up happening, and how teams can end up just never gaining any momentum, because now Moira and McCree are dead right as the other people are getting back. McCree actually gets rezzed, so that ends up evening it out a little bit. Another reason that Mercy's res is really strong. If your team is really bad at not staggering themselves, Mercy can kind of even it out, but oh no, McCree's dead again now. And they're going to commit ultimates while McCree's dead, but Mercy did res the McCree again. Here we end up not concussive mining very helpfully, because we don't actually go anywhere, because Moira is always just going to come around this corner and finish us off. We need to actually go back onto the point so that we can put some distance between us and her, because she's always going to come around this corner and finish us off with Coalescence, if the rest of her team doesn't. It's okay, the fight ends up going still not great, because the rest of our team kind of gets killed behind us, basically. We have almost got the tire now, which is cool, because the tire is still a really strong ultimate. They're only at 40%, so it's not the end of the world. We've got, like, at least 2 fights left, probably, unless the fights end up being super long and staggered, in which case we only really get 1, but they've lost their Mercy. Now's the time to go. We've even gotten the tire right now. We should just use that immediately. And if we can get the Moira with it, that's, like, the ideal, because we see in the kill feed, Mercy's dead, they're missing their main healer. If we now kill Moira as well, they lose the fight, because that's just how it is when you lose both of your supports right at the start. We're using it now, we send it around the back, we end up doing better than just Moira, because we also get the 2 DPS at the same time. And we lose a couple of our team, doesn't matter, come through, break the bongo, win the game. And here's Mercy just in time to die again. If Mercy didn't get picked off right at the start of that fight, it might go completely differently. She might have even had Valkyrie, who knows. So, we end up winning the game. Great. The enemy team helped us out quite a bit on that last round, because we didn't actually have to have that many real fights. Oh, look, here comes. It's pretty good. It ends up being better than expected. 2 people weren't even actually that full when they died, but yeah. So, overall with Junkrat, there's less to say compared to most heroes, because he's fairly simple on the mechanical ends. It's more about decision-making and efficiency, which we have sort of talked about. The thing is with King of the Hill games is that they are very unusual for Junkrat, because a lot of playing Junkrat is about zone denial and pressuring an area, but King of the Hill matches are so spread out and hectic that you don't often get to do that, so sort of ends up missing out on an aspect of Junkrat to talk about just as a result of the game type, because it's not like Anubis where you get to just, or Hanamura, or any game, or Dorado, anywhere with like a hard choke point, because suddenly Junkrat's a lot better in those areas, because that choke point suddenly becomes really hostile to walk through, whereas King of the Hill match is not so much about that. The fights are much more spread out, so it's more about just doing as much damage as possible to as many people as possible, and then picking people off with the tire, and so So, a bit unfortunate that we don't get to really talk about some of the decision-making for Junkrat, because it's just not the right game type for it, unfortunately. But the moral is, use tire as soon as you get it. Use cooldowns as soon as available, because you don't want to just be sitting on cooldowns for extended periods of time. As long as you've got one charge on your concussive mine, you're always safe. You've always got it to run away. You've always got it to finish someone off. So if you're sitting at full two charges, just use one of the charges for something. Just throw it out there, do more damage to people, do more damage to the Reinhardt shield, whatever. Just, like, get the cooldown ticking, because you're just being more efficient, you're doing more damage. It's the same principle as, like, when Soldier sits on his Helix rocket for a really extended period of time. It's just like, throw it at someone. Soldier's thing is doing as much consistent damage as possible, so you just want to throw the rockets out as soon as you think you can hit something with them, because it's just gonna add to the overall damage you've done in the game, which is the important thing for Soldier. Junkrat's the exact same way. You're looking to do as much damage as possible. It's less consistent damage than Soldier, obviously, because he's projectile and about spamming into an area. But Junkrat's thing is still just doing as much damage as possible, so you don't really want to be sitting on it as much as possible. Always keep a trap out. Like, it's just the sort of thing that's better to have out there somewhere than to not have anything out there at all. And this goes into the zone denial thing as well, where if somebody sees a trap, they suddenly have to start playing around the trap, or they have to break the trap, in which case it distracts them from doing more important things, or they just have to play around the trap, which is equally annoying for them. And then just use the tire as often as possible, because it's really strong. Those are like the biggest things that stood out in this game. So, thank you very much for watching. If you did, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. And I hope you found the video helpful. Maybe send in a Junkrat game on a different game type as well, because there's a little bit more to talk about for Junkrat, but not so much for King of the Hill.